NANI?!
Oh hell no. What the f? So you want black wheels. I'm not a professional, but this actually came out way cleaner than I expected. I spent less than 10 bucks, a few hours, and somehow ended up with a factory look. Let me show you exactly how I did it. What you shouldn't do if you don't want your paint peeling off in 2 days. For example, here I'm painting one of the wheels, and as you can see, there's a lot of overspray. You do not want any overspray on your work. It's just gonna look very messy. The job is not gonna look good. You're gonna end up with little dots that you do not want. Now this happened to me because the can was actually bad. Now I tried a different one, and the same thing happened, so I had to completely change my strat. But before you even think about spraying it, you need to sand. This is by far the most important part, and it's actually where most people mess up. This is the easiest step, and people just mess it up. I'm like 100% sure that it's because of the laziness, and I get it, you know, it's a very arduous job. It's very labor intensive. I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to give up and just spray the rest of the wheels without sanding them, but somehow I actually ended up sanding all of them. It took me a full day, but I got it done. Now here I'm using 320 grit sandpaper to break the clear coat and give the paint something to grab onto. You don't need to go crazy, just make sure every shiny spot is gone. Trust me, it makes all the difference between a clean finish and a nightmare. Now as you can see here, I'm using the drill to get most of it out, but there's gonna be little spots where you're gonna have to sand manually with a sandpaper or a wire brush, depending on what you have. Once again, sanding is very important. Do not skip this. I guarantee you, if you skip this, it's gonna flake off in a day. So now that they're all done, I let them flat on the ground, and I took some compressed air to really get all the debris out. Don't want any dust on these, because once you paint over the dust is gonna flake away, and yeah, there goes your paint. So just make sure to take your time here. After this, I took some rubbing alcohol and just wiped down all the wheels, making sure there's no dust at all. Once again, this is very important because you don't want any dust or debris, because if paint gets on the dust flies away, and there goes your paint. Next, we're gonna have to prime these. Every single time you paint anything, you always need to prime whatever you're painting. So obviously you don't want to get any of the primer on the actual tire. So what I did was I bought some flashcards and I stacked them all around the wheel, and as you can see, you can actually stick the flashcards in between the wheel and the tire, so you can get as much of the wheel covered without getting any of it on the actual tire. So I got this primer from Harbor Freight. What you want to do first is do a very light coat on all the tires. Very light. Make sure it's very light. You don't want to do a lot of paint on this because you want to make sure that there's a layer that the actual paint can stick on. Now the second layer can actually go down very heavy, but make sure it doesn't run. So I got all the wheels primed. Now it's time for the actual paint. You want to wait about 5 minutes in between coats, depending on the temperature. In this case, it was actually really hot, so I only waited about 5 minutes in between coats. Now here's where it gets interesting. I originally bought this from AutoZone, but as you can see, it was just doing a lot of overspray. Now I actually went back to AutoZone and got a different can, and now this one actually started overspraying as well. Now I tried painting the wheels very carefully with the same can, but overall it was just not turning out as good as I wanted it to. This whole wheel finished one entire can of this brand. Now I actually went back to Harbor Freight and got a different kind. By all means, I'm not sponsored by this company, but the spray painter was so much better. Once again, you want to make sure that the coats aren't too heavy. You don't want to see the paint run, because then it's going to ruin your whole job. Now believe it or not, with only one can of this brand, I was able to paint all 3 of these tires and also lay a second layer on all 3, and on top of that, I was actually able to come back and do another coat on this tire. So I will definitely recommend this brand. The tires actually came out looking extremely good. $8.99 for this can, and believe it or not, I still had some paint left over in this can. It's crazy how much a small change like painting your wheels can transform the whole look. They just hit way different now. I know some people will say you should have powder coated them, or you should have used a spray booth, but look, I did this all in my backyard with a cheap can of paint and just a little patience. If this video gave you an idea or motivation to try it yourself, drop a comment down below. Smash that like button if you want to see more cheap builds, and subscribe because I got more budget flips, paint tricks, and full transformations coming up. And with that said, thank you guys for watching.